All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday at 8:15, a little bit different time than what we usually go for here on Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy here on the Fans Only Sports Network, but we're back in action. I am your host, Chet, and of course, as always, Duffy tonight in the Hawaiian shirt, styling out, my man. You went to the game like that, too. I called you earlier.
I did. I went to the game like this. I had a great double overtime game. It was Scroville and Cranston West. Scroll and Cranston West scored 5 goals, and they lost in double OT. It was crazy.
What was the final?
9-8. Great game.
That's the weird thing about lacrosse. It's not field hockey, but it's technically hockey on grass.
Yeah,
yet there's more goals to be had in terms of goal scoring percentages as opposed to actual hockey.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different for you and I when we're commentating that type of game,
Yeah, no, really. It's kind of like a really messed up text. Sorry, I was being weird. But it was just a little different for sure. Different vibe, different atmosphere, but great spring day. It was really nice out today, so it was good to be out there for sure.
Absolutely. A great day, a great sunny day, and a great sunny day, honestly, in Kansas for the Kansas Jayhawks. Obviously, you can't really get a great look at that, but you get the idea of the picture. The Kansas Jayhawks are the NCAA March Madness tournament winners this season. It was a great run for them throughout. They were a team I probably should have had a lot more faith in. It's just year to year, they've been in the same position where they're one of the highest seeds in the March Madness bracket.
Yeah.
And this year they turned it around. They proved everybody wrong. And going into this game, this was crazy because UNC goes into the half at up 40-25. The Tar Heels are leading the Jayhawks. And it was I was scratching my head being like, what is going on here? But at the same time, I didn't have a doubt in my mind that this game would probably end up being close at some point.
I got here to talk about
look, the man himself, Matt Durkee, coming in once again.
Talking to fan himself.
Yeah.
And tough loss there. And to kind of finish the point, you see in the second half, first half, 25 points for Kansas. And then they come into the second half, put up 47 to the Tar Heels 29 and take the game 72-69, your final. And the Kansas Jayhawks are the March Madness champions.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to make a comment that I came on the show last week and I had, everyone in the room, and I said it on record. I said Kansas is going to beat Nova by 15 plus. And that happened. That was correct. And that UNC Duke will come down the last couple of possessions and UNC would take that by 4. And that was correct too. Nonetheless, we did give up the biggest lead in the final history, but I'm proud of my 8 seed, man. I'm proud of my 8 seed. We fought hard first year head coach, and this one's gonna stink for a while. But I think a lot of people were, with our coach leaving the year before, a lot of people thought that UNC was gonna be going down the drain, down the gutter. Didn't have a hot start to our year, but we just showed the entire nation we're here to stay, and we're going to be a top 10 program for years to come.
Absolutely. It really shows that this basketball program is still going to be one of the top programs in the country. And if anything, the run that they just had getting into the tournament, where you talk about in the first half of the season, Duke was really the only ranked team in the division that those teams preside in. And now they get to the championship round and, hey, sure, they lost the game, but this really really turns heads around in terms of, hey, this basketball program's still going to be one of the best in the country.
Yeah, and I can go to bed every night, knowing the fact that we beat Coach Kane his last home game at Cameron Indoor, and we sent him right into retirement. So
yeah, they did.
That feels this as good as maybe not as good as winning the championship, but it's up there. It's a great feeling, and I'm proud of my squad nonetheless.
Absolutely. And Duffy, your thoughts on this game?
It was a tough game for UNC. And, I had UNC in this game. I did. I'm not going to lie. Pissed me off a little bit. But, Kansas, second half, they just put their foot in the gas pedal immediately. They were down 15 at halftime. They took the lead around, the 12-minute mark. It did not even take that long to come back. UNC, I just feel like they got probably too comfortable second half. Maybe a little jittery. And Kansas, this is a team that was the number 1 ranked team in the whole country for a lot of the season. Just coming up big when they needed to and making big plays, all of them. Coming down from 15 is no easy task at all. Not in college basketball, not in the NBA, never. And, it's the largest comeback in championship history. So, shout out to Kansas. They deserved it. I was rooting for UNC, low-key. For my boy Matt Ice. But
hey, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to
Cincinnati.
There was a lot of crazy moments in this game, too. And honestly, the story of the game really came in that second half. And I mean, it's really tough to pick out, especially in basketball, the biggest plays of the night. But towards the second half, I mean, Kansas really put the pedal to the metal. And they were just making shots that were just like so unbelievable. And great drives to the basket throughout that we saw. I mean, the Tar Heels towards the end, the last basket they came up short on, that was a tough one because that Kansas dude was, I forget his name, but he was double teamed in that moment. And he just did that quick little step back and then just reached up and just scooped it right in. And it was just a crazy, really crazy energy that you got from those players. And honestly, as a sports fan, I have never been one to be huge into the college scene. But obviously, with my time at URI, and now my time actually sitting down and watching a majority of these March Madness games this season has really proven to me I want to be more into college basketball, college football. It's really kind of like sucked me in. I'm hooked, and I want more.
We watched a lot of CBB at the house this year. We got 4 college dudes. The last CBB was watched. So I got to know a lot about all these teams, more so than any previous year, really, in March Madness. But, yeah, man. We got to watch some CBB next year. We got to talk about CBB more on this show next season. We watched a lot of Big Ten basketball in here. A lot of good stuff. So
absolutely. It's tough for people like you and me because we come from a university that does have a pretty solid basketball program. They just signed a new head coach. And hold on one second. It's just playing a replay really loudly in my ears right now. Yeah, URI, Archie Miller, coming from the University of Indiana. And it's a pretty solid pickup. Not saying it's the greatest ever. It's not lowballing, but it's middle of the playing field. This guy's made it to the Sweet 16. He's made it to the Elite 8 with Dayton. And he made it to the Sweet 16 with Indiana. So the thing is, it's tough for us to really get excited for college basketball as opposed to people who are big Providence College Friars fans because the Friars, they're in it regardless. They're going to be there. They're just a great team. So, I mean, for us, it's kind of something to kind of circle next year in terms of, hey, I might not be in the tournament, but there's a lot of good schools out there to actually love and root for.
Yeah. A lot of very good schools out there. And hopefully URI is one of them next year, man. But, probably not. Probably not. The coach. URI's the entire team under the transfer portal, basically. So
yeah. And it's been a problem ever since.
Mitchell brothers went to Arkansas.
They did?
Yeah.
How did they get to Arkansas, bro?
Okay. They're not even good, dude.
They're not. They're the worst free throw shooters I've ever seen in my life. I've been at most of the games this year, dude. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. They are so bad. Like, it's unbelievable. I don't understand how a team like them would take them. It's probably because of their build and size. They can play defense.
Yeah, they're like products, I guess, or projects.
Yeah, there's something to build on. But at the end of the day, it's like the same thing where this has been a trickling effect ever since Don Hurley left to go to UConn. 3 players went there with him. There was a guy in the tournament who was on URI the last 2 seasons. He was there this year with UConn. UConn eliminated in the first round, so idiots for going there for that matter. But then you have Fats Russell dipping to go to Maryland. They weren't even in the tournament this year.
Yeah. I always bet against Maryland, dude.
And then Obi Toppin, New York Knicks player, now formerly a Dayton Flyer, and I'll tell you, I did manage to get to see him play at the Ryan Center against the Rams, and Dayton destroyed them. And bro, I will not lie to you. This was easily an NBA player playing in college basketball. That's how big this dude was. That's how physical he was. That's how great of an athlete he was, just moving up the court and driving the ball. He was just great all around. But his brother...
When Dayton and URI played 2 years ago, like the first time, Dayton literally got up like 17-0 or something, dude.
That's basically what it was, I'm pretty sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was back in 2020.
Yeah, this was when they were at Dayton, though. When they came to URI, I wasn't. I went to Spain.
Yeah. They still got – that's right, because then the week after was the tournament, and then the tournament got shut down because of COVID, and then you guys almost got stuck in Spain.
Almost. Crazy story.
Yeah.
Crazy story.
We'll have to shelf that.
We had a scare. We had a scare, dude. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely have to talk about that on the podcast sometime, but we'll shelf that.
In Spain. Yeah.
But anyways, so Kansas Jayhawks, your NCAA champions of basketball here for the 2022 college basketball season. A big congratulations to them and to all the teams who participated in this year's March Madness bracket. It was not easy to find yourselves in this spot out of the thousands of colleges and universities across the country with basketball programs.
Yeah, man. Best in the world.
Absolutely. So that takes us into the Boston Celtics segment of this. Different episode this week because, I mean, the NFL really doesn't have much going for it right now. I mean, the only thing you could really mention is how Tyrann Mathieu still being shopped around, really, and how teams. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles. What's that?
That's the top news. Tyrann Mathieu getting shopped around.
Yeah. In the next couple weeks, we'll have more draft and combine stuff to go over. We'll definitely have coverage on that because that'll be big going forward in the next few days. Because in like less than a month, actually, that's when the draft's going to happen. So,
yeah, I'm excited for the draft. It's gonna be a good draft this year. I mean, a lot of good players at every position, like other than quarterback, but
absolutely,
lots of talent.
Now for the Boston Celtics, dude, this was a team walking into this NBA season. I'm pretty sure we had little to no hope for, no expectation, if anything.
Last year,
after a pitiful season, their start awful. They were at one point the 9th seed in the East before the All-Star break, and oh my God, man, it was just
like, I think they got as low as 11th, bro.
Yeah, you're right. It's crazy to see how they climbed back from 11, and they are now sitting at the 3rd seed. They have clinched a postseason spot. They are 2.5 games out of first place.
Second now, dude.
The Milwaukee Bucks, and then in first place is the Miami Heat.
Because last night the Bucks beat the Celtics, and the Celtics were like low key. What's the word I'm looking for? They're low key tossing the game, I guess, or they were resting Jason Tatum, bro. They don't want to play the Nets because the Nets probably be the 7th seed if they win the play-in game. They just win their first play-in game, and probably one of the most dangerous 7 seeds ever that team would be.
Yeah.
So I was trying to avoid.
Because how many more games are left in the season?
I think the Celtics have 3 more games. No, 2 actually. They have 2 games. So
damn.
They're 50 and 30, right?
They're let me see. I'm gonna go back to the standings real quick. Apologies. 50 and 31.
So there's 1 more game left. I mean, this is a team, Celtics. Who are they gonna play now? The 6th seed. Who's the 6th seed? Is it Toronto?
The 6th seed is the Chicago Bulls.
Wow. Okay. Bulls are a tough team, but the Celtics. This is a team that was, like you said, under 500. They're like 22 and 23.
Yeah,
there was no hope for this team again this season. Now this team's looking like an actual contender. I mean, picking things up. Perhaps even as the GM, bringing the throughout the season, man.
It really came down to the trades at the deadline that really kind of changed the chemistry of this team.
Yeah, trade for Derek White. They got Horford again before the season started.
Yep. Which to me was a little questionable, but even when he was on the Celtics, he was still a pretty solid athlete for us.
It was questionable for sure, but it was still
it worked out.
It's worked out. And now this team, I mean, Jason Tatum playing an absolute MVP, averaging around 30 a game in this stretch since they started under 500. I mean, it's a team that went 23-4, I think, over a 27-game stretch, which is crazy. And you do the math, 22-23, now they're 50 and 31. So, 28-8 since then. This is a crazy team, dude. Team's forced to be reckoned with. Tatum playing MVP. sucks that the Marcus Smart Defensive Player of the Year, by the way. He's the favorite right now, odds-on favorite. Jaylen Brown, the best second piece in the NBA, or one of them at least.
Marcus Smart has really, ever since he's been with the Boston Celtics, has really just been a great utility piece for them.
Yeah.
He's just been an excellent shooter, an excellent defender all around. And then when you get the tandem out of...
He's not an excellent shooter, but he's a great defender.
You know what I mean.
Terrible
but
shooter, bro.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, this duo has just ended up working out really well, especially when you had pieces getting shipped off last few years. I mean, obviously, we don't really talk much about Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie
Irving, dude.
Terry Rozier, that was a tough loss for the Celtics at one point because, I mean, going to the Charlotte Hornets at the time, that was difficult because he was a pretty solid player for them too and really added a lot to who was out there on the floor.
Yeah. And wait, who was the last guy you just said?
Terry Rozier.
No, I think someone else after that.
Kyrie Irving.
Dude, I'm done with Kyrie Irving.
No, screw
He's the
Kyrie
worst.
Irving. He is the worst.
Yeah, Celtics. I mean, this was a team a few years ago, like you were saying, that 2019 team, Irving, Terry Rozier, a team that lost to the Bucks in 6 games, or 5 games actually, in the semifinals. I just think that this team, that was probably their best team on paper. This is their most well-coached, well-managed team. I mean, Price, he was an excellent coach, but him as the GM, he's definitely in the running for executive of the year, making all these trades in his first year as the general manager of the Celtics. Even like Dennis Schroeder too, man. I mean, I think they got rid of him though. But this Celtics team, like, they're a force to be reckoned with. And Robert Williams, great player. I think he was 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting, but he got injured. So he's going to be out. He's going to be a big piece. The Celtics are going to have a lot of need in the latter part of the postseason run. But it's interesting that this team is avoiding the Nets. They don't want to play the Nets. They were kind of pressuring Tatum last night. Let the Bucks hop them in the standings. So looks like we're probably going to get another Nets-Bucks rematch in the first round, which is a crazy first-round matchup.
Especially when you're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, who are the defending NBA champions of last season.
Yeah.
So there's a lot at stake there. And I mean, going back to your point, I think that's one of the most interesting things is how literally in the end of last season, the Celtics opted to move Brad Stevens to the front office and hire a new head coach for the Celtics. And it's crazy that in the first season, it's proven, although there were struggles in the beginning, hard dog day struggles, this team has rebounded and defied the expectations, not only of Boston sports fans, but the NBA itself.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have believed it when they said the Celtics would be top 3 seed in the East. Even like 3 months ago. I mean, beginning of the year, certainly not. Midway through the season, certainly not. But this last 60 days or so, man, I mean, it's been crazy being a Celtics fan. Just winning pretty much every game. They're just heating up at the right time. They're getting that chemistry to 95, 100% right now. And
absolutely,
team's just special squad.
And then when you take a look at the West, Phoenix Suns still riding high this season, managed to clinch the number 1 seed out there in the West. Memphis Grizzlies have really moved up in the standings, and same with Golden State, the Dallas Mavericks. Jazz have really taken a fallen off after being the 1 seed all last season. And they've kind of really proven to not be as good as people have thought.
A little fluky, Jazz, but that West, that's very contentious too. Surprise team in the West this year is definitely the Memphis Grizzlies. On pace to win, I think, 55 games. The second best record in the NBA. No one would have thought that. And the NBA is really also it's getting back to being normal. The parity's coming back in the NBA. There's no super teams. Super teams looks like it's going to die soon.
Dude,
sure, it'll come back alive soon. But
I think one thing we as basketball fans, or maybe not as basketball fans, as sports fans, teams. I am so happy to see that. Not only that, I am so happy that LeBron James will not be in the dance this season for a postseason push.
Lakers. I don't want to talk about the Lakers, bro, because the Lakers, they get so much attention on Instagram.
They really do. They really do.
They're
I don't
trash.
Understand it. And they still have Westbrook too, right?
Yeah, they got Westbrook.
Like, this team should be good. Like, you're talking Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook, despite Westbrook kind of being at towards the tail end of his career at this point. It's like this team has studs, yet they suck. But you know what? Good.
Westbrook's the one at the tail end of his career when LeBron's like 38, dude. LeBron is a beast. He's crazy, but Westbrook, had a terrible season. He might be a sixth man in a couple of years, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Be crazy.
It would be, but final thoughts on the.
I'm just glad they're out of the playoffs, the Lakers. I agree with you there, Chet, because we didn't need that shit on Instagram for 3 more weeks, dude. 2 more, maybe like 1 or 2 more weeks, but
yeah,
good riddance to the Lakers.
Yeah, honest to God, really. I mean, the time is 8:36. We're only 20 minutes through this episode. We're about to head into the final segment, really. So, you want to just take it in? Do you have any final thoughts on the Boston Celtics before we move in?
Just go green, dude. Go green, gang. Hopefully the Celtics can beat the Bulls or Raptors first round. It's going to be a crazy postseason, dude. So it's got to lock in. This is a very talented team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if they win, they have to play the Bucks in the next round or the Nets anyways. So
for sure. So, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to for this NBA postseason. I'll tell you one thing. I'm definitely going to watch this year because I actually have something to sit down and look at. Because ever since we had the Golden State Warriors super team that emerged and won several titles in a 5-year stretch, and then you're talking about multiple super teams being produced after the fact, it's good to kind of have a breath of fresh air in this league for once. And maybe it'll give me something entertaining to look forward to this postseason.
Absolutely, man.
So now that takes us... Oh, what were you going to say?
Let's hope.
Let's hope for sure. Let us hope. Now that takes us into the final segment. Opening day started yesterday in the major leagues. Baseball is back. There was a lot of issues going into this season where around November, December, I want to say December, maybe even January, a lockout began between the MLBPA and the owners of MLB teams. And it came down to contract issues. Owners gaining too much money, players not getting enough money, suffering a lot because of it.
Yeah.
Teams were butting heads two sides were butting heads for a while until literally in the end of February, beginning of March, they came to an agreement and the players were allowed to re-enter facilities. They got through a full month of spring training. And as of yesterday, the league has officially started. And of course, today was game 1 between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. That is an opening day we haven't seen in a very long time between these two teams.
That was kind of peculiar, seeing that as opening day, but it was lit. I don't know why it wasn't in New York, in Boston. I mean, the Red Sox literally beat the Yankees last year. We couldn't start the season off at home.
Mm-hmm.
You just beat this team in the playoffs, and you're making the Red Sox go to their barn first game.
I mean, hey, it kind of makes sense. I mean, and this is the first time the Yankees and Red Sox have played on opening day since 2013.
Okay.
And
they won the World Series that year, so.
Exactly. That's something to look at and kind of be proud of. But something that's a little offsetting with the Red Sox is they did very well in spring training. They finished at 11-7, and company vice president Matt Jolis mentioned this to me. He goes, they need to suck in spring training because every time they suck in spring training, they're great during the season. If they're good in spring training, they're going to suck during the season. And they were
okay.
It could be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but today's game really kind of showed how well they were able to keep up in pace in terms of offensively against the New York Yankees. And unfortunately, in today's game, the Red Sox fell in that one by a final score of 6-5 in the 11th inning. So this game ended up going to extras. The pitching ended up being pretty solid. But the day started off with a 2-run homer by Rafael Devers in the first off of Garrett Cole. But Nathan Eovaldi did allow a 2-run shot coming from Anthony Rizzo and then Giancarlo Stanton. And the game really kind of kept going back and forth. And scores 4-3 at one point. And then DJ LeMahieu hits a solo shot to tie things up at 4 apiece. And then we go into extras as the score gets tied up at 5-5. And then eventually the tie gets broken. And I actually have the audio blaring in my headset right now.
Dude, you've been won today, bro. I stopped watching at 4-3 because I had to go to the game.
That's fair, but I mean, there's not really a lot to break down here besides the fact that, once again, my major concern with the Boston Red Sox is one thing and one thing only: pitching. This team has struggled time and time again to find consistent pitchers. Nathan Eovaldi, a solid starter. Is he a number one guy? Is he an ace? No, he is not. He is not an ace by any means. It sucks because Chris Sale is on a 60-day IL after aggravating his elbow, and he's likely going to be, or his shoulder, he's likely going to be out till June, July at this point, which was around the last time he came back last season from Tommy John. So the bullpen.
That's tough.
The bullpen, it's okay. But the thing is the Yankees, they definitely have a better squad than the Boston Red Sox in terms of what they have at pitching. I mean, Garrett Whitlock struggled today. He did strike out 4, but gave up a big home run to DJ LeMahieu. And it's just very tough to really sit through and kind of watch that, especially since 2 of the cooks I work with today, they're both Yankees fans. And then one of them, he's going to the game. He's going to the game tomorrow, and he's got front row seats on the first base line in the outfield right next to Aaron Judge.
Really?
Yeah.
In New York?
Yep.
That's crazy, dude.
He's going to be there for the 4:05 first pitch.
That's nuts.
It is nuts.
That's pretty
dude.
fire, though. It's fire.
He said his wife works for NBC 10 out of Providence, and she got them from a client. They were like $1,000 a pop.
Who's this guy? Is he your boss?
No, so he's one of the new chefs at Treehouse Tavern. He worked a long time, dude, in like casinos, and said like casinos, resorts across like the country and the world. Like he said when he worked at like a casino, I think it was Foxwoods. He said he worked at one of Foxwoods' fancy restaurants, dude. He's like, they worked in the basement. Basement. So like you're cooking food and not able to see the light of day.
That sucks.
It's like, no wonder this guy smokes cigarettes.
I thought you were going to say like he worked at a casino and could confirm these games are all rigged.
No.
For Vegas.
No. Here's an interesting story right here.
Okay.
So my aunt, her father was at the Yankees game when he was 7 years old, where Lou Gehrig had that speech where he said into the microphone to all those Yankees fans who definitely remember this, he said, "I am the luckiest man on the face of the earth." I don't know if you know those words from that speech, but that's literally, you got to look it up. It's basically, Lou Gehrig's a Yankee legend, a baseball legend. Of course. And
it's the streak of games started, right?
Yeah. And that was like 1930 something, I want to say. 1930, 1940 something, when he gave his retirement speech at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx.
Yeah. Who was there? Their coworker's grandfather?
No, my aunt's father.
Oh, damn.
He's a huge Yankees, Giants. He's a New York fan till the end of time.
You a big New York guy for sure?
I'm a big New York City guy. I'm not a New York sports fan guy.
Yeah.
I've been to Yankee Stadium. I
couldn't buy it.
It's a beautiful ballpark. It really is. I mean, I will still stand by my statement that Camden Yards, Oriole Park in Baltimore, Maryland is the most beautiful ballpark I've ever seen. It really is breathtaking for the city it's in, I have to say.
Baltimore.
I mean, Fenway has the magic, though. I love Fenway in terms of like baseball magic.
But it's just so old, bro.
It is. It is an old ballpark, but dude, they need to keep that thing standing for as long as they can, because that's history right there. That really is.
First oldest ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But hopefully the Red Sox can, even up this win-loss column tomorrow,
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough to really kind of like criticize anything besides the bullpen. They need to kind of consider making some moves and probably down the stretch towards the deadline, but that's going to kind of come down to if the team is even going to make a postseason run this year. I mean, the biggest thing that they got was getting shortstop Trevor Story, who's playing second base now.
Yeah,
huge acquisition.
For sure.
So, I mean, they now have one of the best top 5 infields in baseball, because you got Bobby Dahl back at first base, you got Trevor Story at second, Xander Bogaerts at short, and then you got Rafael Devers at third. That's a stacked infield right there. And then even their lineup, I mean, I'm pretty sure hold on, let me see what this lineup looked like today. Yeah. Enrique, Kike Hernandez, Rafael Devers at the second spot. Bogarts at third in the third spot. JD Martinez fourth. Verdugo fifth. Story sixth. Dahlback seventh. Jackie Bradley Jr. eighth, and Christian Vasquez ninth. It's a stacked lineup. It really is.
Yeah. Rahi hit a homer, right?
Who?
Devers hit a
Devers,
homer. Right?
2-run shot.
Damn. Yeah. And then Rizzo hit one.
And funny enough, dude, when I went to Yankee Stadium to see the Yankees play the Red Sox, Yankees won the game 4-1. But the only run that was scored in that game was a home run from Rafael Devers.
Yeah, when I saw them against the
last
Blue
year,
Jays
right?
last summer, yeah, it was one. I think most of the game. Vladdy hits a shot to tie things up at the top of the ninth with 2 outs. Then Devers got the game-winning RBI. It was lit.
Dude, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is like, he's a monster.
He's absurd, dude. He's just different, bro.
He is absurd,
He's like Zion, dude, of baseball.
And even Shohei Ohtani, that's a player you can't really go without saying.
He's probably the best player right now, dude. Ohtani. Top 3.
He proved it last year.
The 2 best players in the league, and they still suck. Very sad.
They'll be good. They'll be good this year, I think, because getting Noah.
They say that every year.
Not really. I mean, the only reason they could say no, nobody's ever said that really. I mean, the only reason you could imply that they'd be good is because Mike Trout, best player in baseball.
That's about it.
But I mean, teams to look out for. I mean, the AL East is going to be tough this year because
the division is very tough.
You have the Yankees, the Blue Jays are going to be good. And then the Tampa Bay Rays, trust me, even though the Red Sox beat them in the ALDS last season, they're going to be tough.
It's an elite team, man. Wander Franco, beast.
Absolute beast. And then Randy Arozarena, that dude's on. I mean, these are young 22-year-olds coming up to play baseball. Funny enough, I was watching a video last night on Bryce Harper. I knew this already, but guess how old he was when he came into the majors?
He was like 20? 19?
He was 19 years old.
That's crazy, bro.
Dude, he was getting scouted when he was 16 years old.
Dude, he made his debut when he was 19.
Yeah, and then he hit the longest home run. Like, it wasn't during a game, but it was just like ever. Like, it was just like a soft toss pitch to him.
I've seen that video, dude.
Yeah, 508,
something feet.
518. Yeah. That's the longest the ball's ever been launched in that stadium.
That's crazy, dude. Absurd. He's just too powerful.
He really is. He really is. Well, so Red Sox fall in the first game out of 3 against the New York Yankees. The series will conclude on Sunday. And then to take a look at the Red Sox schedule here real quick, they will return back home by the looks of it, I think. Let me look at the full schedule. It's not giving me everything I want. Okay, the first half. All right, so then they're going to go. It's a 4-game series, actually. No, 3-game, just because the first game was postponed. They go to Detroit to play the Detroit Tigers, and then they'll come home to play the Minnesota Twins, and that's when we'll be back here. And then after the 4-game series against the Minnesota Twins, they'll have a 3-game stretch at home against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Got to win some of those divisional games, man. These would be big divisional games. Big conference games too, bro. So,
well, yeah, because
gotta at least get 1 or 2 against the Yankees, bro.
Yeah, well, because then right after that home series against Toronto, they go on the road for 3 straight series. They go to Tampa Bay to play the Rays, then they go to Toronto to play the Blue Jays again, and then they go to Baltimore to play the Orioles.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a tough start to the first half.
Yeah, very tough start. We should have Camden Yards, bro.
Down. Tickets are definitely cheap.
It's probably like $7, dude.
It's interesting. There's actually a lot of Boston Red Sox fans in Baltimore.
Of course there are, because the Orioles are junk.
Oh, my God. Well, that is it for tonight's episode of Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. A very short episode, but stay tuned because we're going to be trying. We've been trying really hard. Scheduling conflicts have been very tough in order to get the Bishop Hendricken boys hockey team on here, the state champions of the RIIL league here in the state of Rhode Island. It was a big win for them. winning that state championship. They won every single series from Mount St. Charles to LaSalle and East Greenwich, 2-0 sweep. So
6-0 in the playoffs.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Bishop Hendricken built different when it comes to the postseason. So we're going to get some of those guys on here, have some good talk to them about their season, then, just have fun. Same as LaSalle.
100%. 100%.
All right. Well, that does it for us on Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. This is Chet and Duffy signing off, and we'll catch you all on next week's episode. Stay tuned and go Pats.
Peace.
Peace.